Hey, what's your problem? You have business problems? We have business solutions.
Not guaranteed.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Life is a fight.
It is.
In business, every day is a fight.
So true.
So, hey, what's your problem?
Yes, thank you, John David Wells, as always, the big voice guy for the What's Your Problem podcast. So gracious to lend his illustrious, silky, smooth voice to the intro. A lot of people ask me, why didn't you? You're a voiceover guy. Why didn't you voice the podcast? I said I did that once on another podcast. It doesn't really make sense to introduce yourself. So that's the reason. This is the What's Your Problem podcast, where we talk to Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals about the one thing that keeps them up. Because it's always something that keeps us up. This is a video and audio podcast, so if you want to watch it, great. Check us out, what'syourproblempodcast.com. But if you want to listen, you can do that there too. Pick your poison. If you like Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. Of course, you can, whatever platform you're on, rate the podcast. Give us a thumbs up. Whatever they use to rate things and kick that algorithm into gear. That would be wonderful and appreciated. I am your host, Jim McCarthy, with JimMcCarthyVoiceovers.com. And today, another recurring guest, Mr. Marcus Meneese with StrongerThanMyFather.org. How you doing, Marcus?
Doing good, Jim, man. It's
buddy.
Good to do your podcast again, man.
Again, here we are.
I love the new studio setup, too, man.
Thank you.
It's really nice.
We like it here, too. So, as you know, one of the things that we do is the Random 5.
Yes.
Yes, you remember that?
Yes, I do.
5 completely random questions brought to you by it'syourshow.co. If you want a podcast like this, and like Marcus's as a matter of fact, Stronger Than My Father podcast, hit us up, it'syourshow.co, because podcasts are the best marketing machines you can invest in for your personal brand and business. It'syourshow.co. Okay, question number 1, Marcus. You ready?
All right.
What's the best prank you can play on someone?
Oh, wow. The best prank I can play on someone is tell them that I closed my business and I'm not doing it no more. And then tell them that I'm playing with them. But I know I'm going to take a lot of slack from not doing that. So that's a prank I don't want to do, but that's a good one, I would say.
It almost seems like you've done it before.
I probably have, yeah. Knowing me, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Question number 2. When people look at you, what do you think they see or think?
I think they see someone who's passionate about the work I do. Mm-hmm. And I believe they see a person that's genuine and not fake. That is for sure. I hope so.
You are definitely what you see is what you get.
I hope so.
Kind of individual.
Yeah.
Question number 3. What have you created that you are most proud of?
I would say developing Stronger Than My Father, both the after school and now our mentoring program is probably the most thing I'm proud of outside of my wife and 2 kids.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
Question number 4. I think we're on number 4. I always lose count.
Yeah.
If you could make a 20-second phone call to yourself at any point in your life, present or future, when would you call and what would you say? That's a good one.
At 18, I would say find a career that you're passionate about and stay focused.
There you go.
And you can go far as you want to fall in life. That's what I would tell myself in my younger. If I could do it right now, I would. Yeah.
Question number 5. What annoys you most about the in-groups you are part of?
I don't have a lot of in-groups, but I think most thing that annoys me the most is fake people.
Yeah.
Fake people who only cares about themselves and not care about others really irritates me.
I can see that.
So that happens a whole lot. So, yeah.
There you go. Well, there you go. There was the Random 5 brought to you by it'syourshow.co. Gets the energy flowing.
Yeah, man. I'm ready to go.
And the fun going. So here we go. We're going to kick into things. You and I've always said, and I've told people this a lot, that we actually have a lot in common.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. I've heard you tell the story about your dad and growing up with your dad. Mm-hmm. Your dad and my dad were similar. Right.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So
okay, cool.
Very, very similar lifestyles, childhoods growing up, middle class, pretty well-to-do, we didn't really want for anything. And, here you are, you're relating or tempting to relate
Yeah.
with people who haven't had any parental or fatherly structure in their lives. You know, how does that work out? I mean, you get a lot of people that are like, dude, you have no idea. You know, do you get that a lot?
Yeah, but I tell them at the end of the day, it's not about what I know. It's like, where are you trying to go? Where are you trying to go? I didn't grow up around trauma. I didn't grow up around a bunch of fussing and arguing. But
chopping wood though, man, and mowing lawns, that could be traumatic. I mean,
you know what? You know what? With that story is that I was ashamed cutting grass with my dad growing up.
You were?
I was.
Really?
I was, because, you know, in teenage years, there was a lot of kids who would see me cut grass with dad, make fun of you. So I was ashamed, but I didn't know that my dad was spending time with us because he was our father.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that until I got older.
Yeah.
And when I became a father, a couple of years later after I became a father for the first time, God actually dealt with me with that. And I went back and apologized to my dad, because I said, I'm sorry for being a knucklehead son. And he said, when you became a dad, I knew you would figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with me. So I think him is that his ethic of working with us was being sure that we understood what hard work was about.
Yeah.
Because he knew life was hard. And so when I'm mentoring, what I'm trying to do is teach these young boys that, yeah, you've been through trauma. I can't help your dad's not there.
Yeah.
I tell them at the first thing off, can't help that. Let's get that on the table. But what I can help you with is skills that's going to help you develop in life. So when you become a dad, or when you get out of here at 18 and you got to face everything head on, at least you have somebody you can call and say, hey, I need help with this. What do I do?
Yeah.
So, and when I became an adult, my parents became a guidance counselor to me. So when I needed help with something, I would pick up the phone and say, hey, mom, hey, dad, I'm facing this situation. This is what I need to do. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
So those are the things where I teach kids these methods to try to help develop them and help them grow right now.
So when you actually get in with this and you've started doing this, it was an inspiration because, you know, like all of us, we all grow up and do stupid things. We, you know, live life. We're teenagers. We're in our 20s. Yeah. You know, God knows I know I've done stupid things in my life, you know, and I know my father looked at, you know, my upbringing as doing the best he possibly could have with us. And one of the things that you always say is how my father always told us that he loved us and gave us hugs and kisses and stuff. Yeah. At the time when, you know, he would say to us, look, I am not afraid to hug you guys, give you kisses, tell you I love you. I'll never be afraid to do that. Yeah. And to my brother and I were like, okay, you know, that's, we didn't know any better. The reason being is because he never got that from his dad. Yeah. It's amazing how the overcompensation happens. But you talk about, you know, your dad made you guys work because it you know, taught you hard work. It taught you work ethic. It kept you out of trouble, kept you off the streets and everything. But he's not an affectionate guy. No,
my father, I know if he ever listens to this podcast, he'll kill me. Right. Number one is that he wasn't, and I asked my mom about that actually about a month ago about affection, because my wife fusses me all the time, saying you're not affectionate a lot. But
you're not?
No, heck no, man, I'm not. Because you only can do what you're taught. Yeah. So my father wasn't a big hugger. He wasn't a big I love you person. We just knew that he loved us. Yeah. I mean, but
by his actions.
Yeah. And so that's kind of how I am now. But it does have issues in marriage. But my father he showed us that love through work. Yeah. But we didn't, like he told me, I didn't understand it until I became a father.
Of course not.
And I got older. So as a child, you thinking it's punishment. Yeah. He's punishing, he's being mean, but I didn't know that he was just being a father. Yeah. And he's saying that I want to put everything in you of work ethic. So God forbid I had to go do another job. I know how to cut grass.
You can always do something.
So if I need to get a lawn service business, I know how to do that to survive. So basically, he teaching us survival skills. Mm-hmm. And as a child, you don't know. You thinking he's being mean when you got to go cut tobacco in the hot sun. You think he's being mean. But at the end of the day, once you get older and them things come back to your mind, you realize he's actually was showing you love. Yeah. And so I didn't have the traumatic experiences that other kids have. I don't even know what that looks like.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that feels like. Like my wife, she's seen traumatic stuff.
Yeah.
And that's still inside of her. But for me, I don't know what their life looks like. So my goal is when I work with a young man is saying, hey, whatever these problems are, I can't help fix that. But if you give me a chance, I'm going to show you another life. And then through that other life, let's try to work through some of your other experiences. And I'm hoping that will help this young man develop to be something productive.
Yeah.
And he could be something better in life. Because the alternative at when you go to jail, they don't care about you to have a daddy.
Yeah.
They do not care. And they're going to treat you like crap. They don't care. But let's give me a chance to show you that life can be a little bit easier. But back to my father is that I remember when I graduated from Tennessee State in 2011, Daddy always gave you a handshake.
Yeah.
And from my memory, that was the first time I remember was really giving my dad a hug.
Yeah.
When I graduated, he was so proud of me that I finished college. Now, my kids, I am affectionate. And I hope my wife doesn't hear this one. My kids always run and gives me a hug. Daddy, daddy, especially my youngest. And I always give him a hug, kiss him on the head. I don't know why I'm different that way. It's like my kids, my two boys is like my life. And my wife know I love her to death. I just don't say it enough. But my kids is my legacy.
Yeah.
So if I die tomorrow, my oldest has my name. He looks more like me. I'm hoping that he can go farther in life than me.
Well, I mean, that is the hope for all of us.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny, lately I've been going through a season. My kids are 16, 14, and 10.
Okay.
So one of them's going to be 11 here in January. But I'm going through a season of a woe is me, and I need to get over that myself.
Yeah.
But it's mostly about underappreciation. Like,
Yeah.
You guys have no idea.
Yeah.
The fight I fight to keep everybody's heads above water.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like nobody, and I know it's going to take time and perspective and adulthood for them to really make that realization. Yeah. But man, it sucks sometimes when you're a dad and it's like, you guys don't give a crap anything I'm doing. Right? Yeah. I mean, you think your dad went through that? I think my dad did.
Yeah. I think dad didn't, him working at Peterbilt, working odd shift, my mom worked, I think he knew from his dad how hard work was. Mm-hmm. He knew how to navigate through being on strike. Him cutting grass was not so much for him. He started a lawn service business because he said, I have 3 boys and I need to be sure they don't go the wrong path in life.
Yeah.
But the grass cutting actually helped him. So when Peterbilt shut down in 2008, that's all he's been doing since 2008 is just cutting grass.
Yeah.
So he always tried to navigate. And then one thing he told me, he said, always don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
He said, always look to have another thing on the side. And that's kind of why I was when I was working in the aircraft industry. I was building a nonprofit just in case the aircraft industry, they laid me off or closed. I had another fallback plan to keep going. So I think those are things that my dad taught us. But I think now as a father, I don't think my kids think about that now.
No, they're too young.
They're too young to think about that.
Yeah.
But anytime my wife says, hey, the kids need something, I'm like, I got to go get it.
Yeah.
So if she says he needs some winter shirts, all right, I'm going to go get it. He needs some pants or shoes. I always say go get it because I never want my kids to lack. And my dad told me one great advice. He said, make sure before you buy any clothes or shoes for yourself, your kids got everything they need.
Right.
Don't buy nothing for yourself until your kids have everything they need. So for years, I didn't buy myself anything, especially my, them early years when you got to buy diapers and milk and all that stuff. I went like 2 or 3 years without buying myself. I would wear almost 2 pair of shoes. This is and that. Now I buy myself a little bit more. Now my wife said you spend too much money on clothes and shoes. Facebook needs to start doing showing these shoes and stuff like that because I'd be tempted to buy them. But I always made sure my kids went before me.
Yeah.
And that's one advice I try to give a whole lot of guys who talk to me about fatherhood. Like, make sure your kid's good first before you go buy yourself clothes.
That's what a man does, man.
And my father did that. He sacrificed a whole lot to be sure his 4 kids made it.
I'm actually getting a little Instagram story going here. We got Marcus Meneese in the house.
Yeah, man.
That's right, man.
Yeah, man.
We do these things live.
I like Instagram Live, man.
That's right.
Yeah, man.
So, I mean, there's a guy, and there's a lot of influencers online. Some of them have actually been addressing husbandry and fatherhood and things of that nature. But one of the notions that it hit me in between the eyes lately is the notion of, look, you cannot blame your wife for, a life that she is going to want to aspire for, especially if you're the one providing the life.
Okay.
If your wife doesn't think you're making enough money, then dude, you got to step it up. You agree with that?
No.
No.
My wife told me I make enough money. That's her. I don't think a woman should tell a man, you don't make enough money.
Not that she's telling you that, but I think, intrinsically we can feel it. If your wife, I look at it that way. I'm like, you know what? It is my job to make sure you're taken care of above and beyond anything.
I think that here's the thing that I feel like in marriage, it's can a wife break a husband? Yeah. I agree with that. I think a wife should always be supportive of her husband. The man is always going to try to provide and make sure you have enough. And one thing about my wife is that I never want her to have to want for anything.
Right.
So if she says, "Hey, I need to get my hair done,"
thing, essentially, right?
Get my hair done. I'm like, all right, go get the money out the bank, get it done. You want to get nails done, just go get it done. That's my job to try to provide for you.
We lived so many years paycheck to paycheck, single income family, very at risk. And a lot of people in this day and age don't realize when you have one job, you're at risk, man.
Yeah,
you have
tough,
no
man.
idea how at risk you are, especially when your dad talks about getting a side hustle with the lawn business and everything, became his main gig at some point, and he's in control, He's the only one who can really fire himself because you were in control of getting the clientele, creating goodwill with your customers, creating word of mouth advertising, things of that nature, so he can grow his lawn business. Yeah, he's in control of that. You're never in control of it when you have a job.
Well, my mom worked.
Fire you.
My mom worked, so we had two. I was lucky because my mom worked. Yeah, she had a great job with the IRS, and my dad had a great job with Peterbilt. So we had a blended middle class home.
Yeah,
but
two incomes.
Yeah. I've realized, and I've talked to some single moms who have kids in our mentoring program, of the struggles they have because they're the only income coming in. Yeah, so they can't be sick. They got to be tough all the time, and I know that has to be hard. That's something I really, really hate for single moms. It was never designed that way. Those who believe in God or you don't believe in God, it was never designed for the woman to have to be able to take care of a household. It was the man's job. Yeah. The man's job is to be sure the family's taken care of. Anything you get from the woman outside is extra. Yeah. So my goal is to be sure my household is good. So when I said let's go out to eat and stuff like that, my wife like, who paying for it? Duh, it's supposed to be me. So I think that's a narrative where I think we need to stop thinking that. But I also look at reality. When you look at the news, everything on politics, a lot of single moms that's it. And there are not enough men stepping up. And then when their kids get out of line, that's the male's fault. Yeah. And people don't believe that, but that's the honest truth. So when you look at the name of your podcast, what's the problem? That's my problem. That men don't step up enough to be sure their child make it. Right. That's the things that frustrates me the most. So that's one thing I try to challenge myself to do is be sure my kids have what they need to make it. And so hopefully when they become fathers, they take what I have and they continue to keep my cycle going of fatherhood.
I've actually become, when I first had kids, the mentality I had was, if I feel horrible about being a parent, it probably means I'm doing it right. Does that make sense?
That's a tricky question.
Because I'm like, gosh, I feel like I'm so hard on them, that I'm over disciplining them, and I feel awful.
My wife says I'm too tough on them at times. Really? But I think she's tougher than me. Yeah. My youngest has my heart a lot. Yeah. But my dad was tough. Yeah. He said, life is tough, so I'm gonna be tough on you. And that's gonna make you tough. Our job as dads is to be sure our kids make it. And I don't think about their feelings all the time. I'm like, look, when I tell you to get up in the morning on Saturday, we doing a mental outing, you gotta get up at 6:30. And my wife like, they need to sleep. For what? Yeah. I said, what do they need to sleep for? Yeah. I don't care if it's a Saturday. My dad did not care it was a Saturday and we need to sleep.
See, that makes me feel awful about my parents.
I get them up. I say, it's time to get up. Let's go to work.
Yeah.
Because
my kids are probably still sleeping right now.
No, my kids was up 8 o'clock. I heard both of them up.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
So letting kids, my wife, she'll hear this podcast and kill me again. She loves to sleep. I knew that before I walked down the aisle with her.
Yeah.
But I told her is that I only can treat my kids the way I was raised.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can do it. My dad didn't let us sleep in on no Saturday.
Yeah.
It wasn't no thing of sleeping in to 10, unless it was raining outside.
Yeah.
That's the only time I remember sleeping late. If it was pretty outside like it is today, oh, you getting up doing something.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. If I'm working on the car, y'all gonna be watching. It wasn't no go in the house and play Nintendo. That's an old school method. And I know we live in a different society, a different age now.
Yeah.
But raising kids, to me, you gotta have tough discipline on your kids. And as a dad, you can't feel bad saying I think I'm too tough on. I don't care if I had to get them up at 6 every morning.
Yeah.
I wish I could get them up at 5 in the morning to go to school. My wife said that's just you doing too much.
Yeah.
But teaching them how to get up and get dressed, let's go. Because when they have kids, they're gonna do the same thing. And that's why I feel like I don't want to be an overbearing dad, but I have to be a stern dad because when they get 18, they got to face this life out here.
Yeah.
Dad ain't gonna be holding their hand all the time, Jim. I'm not gonna be able to do that. My dad doesn't hold my hand. When any else's do, I can go to daddy. Mm-hmm. Daddy gonna say, I taught you enough how to pay your bills. Mm-hmm. If you got, and then I tell you this one. He said that right before I got married, tough dad again. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the money, and me and my wife both was laid off our jobs 6 months before we got married. So I tell Dad, I'm not going to get married. We don't have enough money. I think I need to hold off. And the worst time to talk to my dad was when he was working on his trucks. Yeah. Worst time because he really goes into you. He said, son, you go get 2 jobs and you work and you're going to get married in 6 months. So if you got to go work 2 jobs, that's what you better do. So what did I end up doing, Jim? Working 2 jobs. Yeah. I was working at Lowe's Vanderbilt and I was working at FedEx before I got married. No, I was working at Gibson Music.
Right.
And I was working at FedEx with my brother before I got married. And it was that's his work ethic saying you don't let nothing stop you. Yeah. You have to work. If you got to go work 2 jobs to survive right now, that's what you have to do. And then with this economy and everything that's going on now, you just got to always find ways to survive because people in the tech world now. Yeah. Who would have thought people in the tech world would just be losing their jobs like it is now? Yeah. Did those tech people have a plan B just in case? And that's why my dad always put that in us. I always have a plan B. So if something happened with my business now, I know I can pick up and do something else. That's why I went to school. That's why I built up experience. So if I got to throw my resume out, I have a good chance of trying to land another job quickly because of experience. So all the questions you asked me is just how my father just felt like he needed to raise his kids. And what I see now and how close we are as a family, I think he did an excellent job of how he raised us.
Well, now you have the perspective of life, right? Yeah. And seeing it with your own kids. Yeah. My dad, would do things on Saturday morning. He didn't really get us up or make us work with him. Yeah. We willingly wanted to go down and help him out and hang out or whatever. And of course, as we got to be teenagers, it was a lot different. Yeah. I just think he always had the confidence and faith that you guys are going to figure it out. At some point you're going to figure it out. You've got enough input and programming from us to know what to do. 15 years old, I got my first after school job. Yeah. 2-3 days a week after school, working in a kitchen at a nursing home of all places as a dietary aide. And there was one time that I was called, and this is like around 90, 91, 92 was when that all happened. If you remember in our lifetime, there was a pretty big recession at that point. Yeah. That recession completely destroyed what my father had built throughout the 80s. It was he built a really big, decent business, provided us a lot of resources and everything. But when that recession hit, it was just devastating. So everything changed. I'll never forget it. I asked him one time, we moved the entire office into our house, our basement, right? Basement. Mm-hmm. Luckily that we were able to do that. But I'm oddly enough helping him put up a light fixture, go figure. Mm. And, I said, hey, why don't we get a pizza, for lunch? $15 from Domino's or whatever. He goes, and I'm up on the ladder. I'm looking down at him. He goes, we can't. Oh, okay. Well, why is that? He's like, he looked right up at me and he goes, we can't afford it.
Wow.
We 15, really? We can't afford a pizza? He goes, nope. And I'm 15, 16 years old. I'm going, okay. Well, this is interesting, you know, and it's, it really just stuck with me like, wow, how the tables have turned. But, a lot of that, because of that and what he had gone through, he was 50 and he had to get back on ladders and drive trucks and do wire pulls and all this other stuff at age 50, going back to what he wanted to get away from in his 20s. So he had to go back to that kind of laborious lifestyle to make sure that we were taken care of. And one time I was called into work, or I was asked to work. And I said, nah, I don't want to work today. I'm not going to fill in. He found out about it and lit me up.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, you have an opportunity to work. You work. Never that, And that's the thing with my son is that I'm big about self-awareness with my kids. Like I don't press, if you want to go to college, we'll figure it out. We didn't plan for it because I didn't make enough money. But if you want to go to college, we're going to figure it out. Okay. If you don't want to go to college, then don't go. You'll still figure it out. I do believe that. I figured it out. You can figure it out. Because I was a dropout in college. And, I made it work. You got to do what God made you, put you on the earth to do. You got to find out what that is.
And I think you're right. I think every kid and I'd say every person has a purpose in his life.
Totally. Amen.
I struggled in college, and remember, I graduated in 94. I struggled for 12 years trying to figure it out.
12 years for me was a massive self-esteem challenge for me because I went from college, failing at college to my dad, because my brother, I was also in his shadow. He was the golden child. He went to college. He went to law school. He was doing like the track that they had planned and everything. He was the one that actually made them fulfilled because, hey, at least one of them is doing well. The other one, let's just get him, out of the house. That's the way I saw it. Not that I hold that against my parents. But that's basically that's what it was. I don't blame them. I was a challenge, right? So all of a sudden, I had to go back. I worked with my dad doing phone system installation, pulling wire, going in Westchester County, New York, one of the most wealthy counties in the country. Okay, now imagine this. I've already got 2 or 3 strikes against me in my own head. Self-esteem. I didn't make it through college. I've been told all my life that if you don't go to college, you're going to be a loser and you're going to fail.
I was told that.
Right. Now I got to work a blue collar job, a trade, God forbid. And I'm looked down upon. I'm in lawyers' offices, doctors' offices, and they talk about condescension, dude. Oh my gosh. But then I got into radio and then I found my purpose,
That's what I was hoping you would say. Most kids and most people need to find what their purpose is in life.
You really do.
I remember growing up in the 90s, college was the thing. Got to go to college, When I graduated, I didn't have any mentors coming out of college. And I didn't have no sense of direction or where I would need to go. So I'm working lousy jobs. And then it wasn't until my mother gave me a book and she said, I need you to teach Sunday school. And I'm like, I'm not no teacher. She was like, I ain't asked you that. Just read the book, talk about what's in it. And from there, I realized I had a gift to teach. And that's when I began to find what my purpose in life was. And that's why it was easy to go back to college and go through
undergrad.
Knew why. Yeah, I knew why. So
was it on your own dime?
Yeah, I had to pay for it.
Yeah,
no, parents never paid for it. Well, parents told us. They told us that in high school. They said, if you don't get a scholarship, you got to pay for your own school. We was told that in high school. And I was a average student in school. CD, maybe a B here and there. That's who I was. So I was kind of tossed to the side. Mark's not going to be nothing but just a worker, and that's it. No one ever thought Mark would be able to create his own nonprofit, and that's what he'd be doing full time. That was never in the cards. But
you and I are so much alike, dude.
Yeah, we are. Let's do this podcast. We are
Isn't that
alike.
crazy?
Yeah, but I think that
late bloomers.
That's who I was. I was a late bloomer. But I think that once I'm driven to do something and you tell me I can't do it,
game on.
I'm gonna make sure I throw it in your face.
Yeah.
And
you
so,
want to throw that gauntlet a little farther, do you?
Yeah. And so I tell people when they doubt Mark, I said, well, you'll see me on TV.
Yeah.
Doing work. You'll see me, people see me different places, but the struggle keeps me humble.
Yeah.
The struggle keeps me humble where I never look like I'm this big shot guy now. Okay, yeah, we done this, we do that. I'm still looking for, I still have a hunger to look for what's new now.
Yeah.
So I never try to stop trying to say, okay, I made it now. All right, got a program director running my business. I can just sit back and just drink tea and relax. I'm figuring out how to keep working.
Do you drink tea?
Yeah, I drink tea. Yeah.
Okay. Hot tea? Or
hot tea, man. I might need to get after this podcast because my throat is killing me. But I think my dad work ethic always pushes me to drive hard.
Right.
Even when I'm tired, I feel like I got to keep going. My wife tell me many times, Mark, won't you just take a day of rest? My board members, Mark, just take. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And I tell people I'm so sorry. I don't know what it means by just taking a day of rest because I never seen my father do it.
Yeah.
My father always worked. He probably doing something right now working.
He enjoyed it.
And so...
you think he enjoys it, though?
Oh, yeah. He told me. One thing he told me, he said, son, the day I can't work no more, you might well go and get your suit ready and put me in the ground.
Yeah. It's his purpose. That's what keeps him going.
He already told me that. Yeah. And so...
anybody who retires, that's a whole...
Yeah.
Gosh, what a misnomer.
My dad's 72, and he's still working and cutting grass. He's still moving. And so as his son... That's the things that I see.
Yeah.
I see what I need to do and work. Because I never knew growing up that I would have my own nonprofit business. Yeah. That was never in the cards for me. Training development, traveling, I had it all laid. When I was going to college, I had my game plan laid completely out of what I wanted to do. And when it didn't work, I got frustrated.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, I kind of sense why God has me on the path I'm on now.
Yeah.
I really sense that. Now, even though it's not the path that Marcus Meneese wanted, I understand why I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing because it changes lives. It impact, and I don't even see the impact until I heard somebody tell me that you won't really see your impact until later in years when somebody comes back to you and say, "Mark, thank you for helping me.
Yeah,
thank you for giving me some guidance." So I think when I was asked, why am I doing what I'm doing when you didn't go through trauma and stuff like that? I always tell people, you got to ask God that because I don't know.
Yeah.
I just felt like things wasn't fair. And I felt that I need to do something about it and bring more awareness to fatherhood. So when people see me now, it's everything's fatherhood, because I always tell them fatherhood matters. Yeah. We both are dads.
Yeah.
And we both want to see our kids become very, very successful and go farther us in life. And that's one thing that we have to continue to fight every day. Being a dad.
The notion of I want to see my kids do better than me is subjective.
Okay.
I want my kids to have purpose. I want them to have self-awareness. I want them to know why they get up every day and not ever have the feeling of why do I have to do this again? That is one of the most awful feelings. Oddly enough, I did have that, and I know what that's like to get up, to have to go to a job. I was about 20, 21 years old, working as an electrician of all things, right?
Yeah.
Because I had that attitude because I knew I had something else to do, like creatively, and some other area of skill to develop, and that was radio. Production, voiceover, things of that nature, everything that I kind of do today. But in order to get there, I had to work in a job that I wasn't passionate about, that I kind of phoned it in every day. And I did get up every day. And my brother said that to me one time. He says, the worst thing in the world is getting up and wondering why you have to do what you're about to do again. And it's like, I just don't want to do this. But the funny thing is, Marcus, I got it out of my system, right?
Yeah.
I got, I did radio, I did all this stuff, I still have my toe in the water with podcasting and voiceover, and I still do a lot of this stuff. I'm okay getting up on a ladder now and just going, hey, we got to get the job done and put some lights in and wire it up. Okay, that's fine.
But you feel good when you find out what your purpose is in life.
Yeah.
You feel good when you find out this is what I'm created for.
Yeah.
because for years I was watching what everybody else was doing, and I wanted to be like them. My brother, he's in IT, and I remember when I was struggling in college, everybody would pump my younger brother up. Family, everybody put my younger brother on this golden pedestal.
My gosh, you had a shadow too.
Yeah. My youngest brother was really smart, and people put him on this pedestal, and then people will put me and my older brother like way down.
Yeah,
they didn't see us going anywhere in life, and when I remember I was taking a class called Cisco Routers at Nashville Tech. Because I was trying to be like my younger brother, and they bring his router for one of my mid-class, final?
Yeah.
The fall final. And they bring his router up, and when they brought the router up, they said, you need to configure it. And I looked at the router, and I looked at the teacher, and I walked out of class. And that was my last day of trying to do anything in IT.
Because you just knew it wasn't you.
No, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
So it just took, I think, my story, it just took time.
Yeah.
But when I mentor young men, I'm trying to find a purpose and passion early as possible.
Yeah.
So when they get out of high school, they know what direction they're going. I don't knock anybody from working a warehouse job.
Yeah.
But most warehouse jobs are not kids' purpose. And I tell people that.
It doesn't, but at the same time, the expectation of having to know what you want to do in high school, that's a lot of pressure. Sometimes, I'm a big proponent of, look, your 20s are for falling on your face, are for finding out why you're here. That's okay. That message has got to be told. It's okay.
I agree and disagree with that. I think that for me at 46, if I knew what I'd known in my early 20s, I was like, where could I be? Could I be farther now where I'm at?
Of course you would, but you didn't know what you didn't know.
So
you have to find that out.
So now when I mentor a kid and when he gets out of high school, I want to have a game plan for him.
But do you honestly think that if you could go back in time and tell yourself, this is what you need to do you think you would have listened?
No.
Because sometimes you just got to learn.
No, but I think that my wife's laughs at me. I watch movies a lot and seeing... one of my movies I've been watching is an old one from Denzel, Roman J. Esquire. And I seen the guy he was working for was George Pierce, and he was driving this nice BMW, had this glass office, and I was like, man, that's what I wanted in life, know. And my wife was like, Mark, you just don't realize how cutthroat corporate world is. You want a world that you don't even realize that's cutthroat, that you and I built for. And so there's things that I still want, but I have to understand what I'm supposed to be doing now. Because if not, I'll be trying to pursue something that I know God doesn't really have for me. Right. But for young kids, I just want them to know if a kid tells me, I have a kid say, Mark, I want to be an anesthesiologist. All right, let's plan for that out of high school. Yeah. If that's what you want to do, if we got a kid 17 that says, I want to do IT, let's get you into IT now. Let's not wait 2 or 3 years out of high school. Well, if you work 10 jobs out of high school, where in IT, he can start looking at getting certifications, getting a decent pay. Let's try to look at trying to guide your life. Now, you're going to have pitfalls. Yeah. You're going to go through stuff. You may have a job and you really enjoy it in IT, and then they lay you off. But you got experience to try to move to the next thing. So that's what I want to kind of teach kids. Yeah. So, and not just... go through, like I said, pre-recording, I went through 12 years
of trying to find yourself.
And I'm still mad at myself for that to this day.
But you can't though. I mean, that's you had to go through that.
Yeah, well, I felt
that was your origin story.
Yeah, I felt I don't want another kid. Here's the thing, Jim, is that I don't want another kid to go through what I went through. I don't want my 2 boys to go through 12 years of trying to find themselves. And I don't want that to happen for them. I want them to have the normalest path they can go and deal with whatever life comes in that normal path. So I'm still mad at that. I eventually got to get over that. Yeah. I've been blessed to go back to college, finish. I don't even know where my diplomas are at.
Right,
as much as I cared about it. But now me giving back and my joy now is seeing when I see a kid make it and he's pursuing his dream. That makes me happy more now than ever. I really truly believe I went through those 12 years to teach later on in life. Yeah. So even though I'm personally mad, I understand why I had to go through that.
Yeah.
So now when a kid comes to me, I'm like, all right, who can we call? Who can I connect you with? Who can I do this? So then you have a chance to make it in life. And that's all I want to see for the young men in my program is that you're not another statistic, that you're dead or in jail, and that you have a shot at making a productive life. Now, when I go play golf on some of these golf courses and I see these beautiful houses that's around these golf courses, I said, man, I wish I could have had one of these houses, you know. But it just wasn't in the cards for me.
You want now that you wish had that?
Yeah, I wish I had that. Yeah.
Okay.
But
I mean, you could still get it.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would want that now.
Right.
At 46, I'm like, do I need a big giant house? No. But I told these kids, I said, one day I want you to get a nice home and you invite me over for barbecue.
Yeah.
That would be my thanks. That I did my job to help you have a better life and not have to struggle so much. And struggles come with life, Jim. It does.
Was your dad a mentor to you, do you think? I mean, you know, there was an element of programming that he put into you that, you know, shaped you. But I mean, I had a mentor in radio. He was a program director. He poured into me and, you know. My
biggest mentor, my dad was a guidance. I don't want to look at him so much as a mentor. Right. My biggest mentor, I met working at Triumph Aerospace.
Right. It's always somebody else other than your dad sometimes.
He told me, he said, Mark, you know, me and him talked all the time. I still talk to him to this day. He said, you need to go back to school and get that degree.
Yeah.
That's what he told me. He said, you need to go back to school degree. He showed up to all my graduations. Except my associates. He came to Tennessee State. He came to Trevecca. And that meant so much to me that he showed up for my graduation because he encouraged me to go back to college and get my degree. And those are things I think mentors do. My dad never said, go back to college. My dad, only thing my dad understood was work. And he looked at money. He knew working in the aircraft industry, I made a lot of money, but I wasn't happy being there. Right. And me and my dad had some clashes on that where he said, you know, I don't care if you get them degrees, you better not leave his factory job. Because he couldn't see beyond that for me. I didn't know I was going to end up starting a nonprofit and this would be my full-time job. That was never in the cards for me. But when I looked at there was no other option, I was like, I got to make this work because I don't want to work in the factory no more. This is what I want to do for my life and make a living from it. And right now, God has me in this season where it's working out right now. Yeah. It's still tough. It's still tough to raise money and the work you have to do in a nonprofit world. But in this season, I'm happy kind of where I'm at right now.
Of course, because it's fulfillment.
Yeah, it's fulfillment. You know? Yeah. And I want to be sure that I can pour into these young men's lives all I have. Yeah. And I still have to be a dad to my two boys. Yeah. Because they need their dad.
But they're seeing what you're doing, you know, and that's the big thing for me is I want my kids to see that, you know, I'm not at home playing video games. I'm not, you know, not spending time with them because I'm indulging in some sort of self-driven thing. Every time they see me, I'm working. I'm working on something, you know, and it's like, hey, if they see me doing that, okay, fine.
Well, they said today, it's like, Daddy, where you going? I said, Daddy, gotta go to work. I said that before I left the house today, and then I have my time with them today. Yeah,
likewise.
Today is haircut day. I take my boys to the barbershop every 2 weeks, and I love that time. I spend that time with them, and then it's family time where we're gonna go out to eat. Yeah. You know, those things I do to be sure my family. My kids can't ever say that Daddy didn't spend time with us. Right. They can't ever say that.
You do realize that they're gonna say something down the line.
Yeah, kids gonna say a whole lot of things, but I think
we're gonna screw them up somehow.
Yeah, I think they can always tell me that Daddy always made time because when we do our mentor outings, they are there. Yeah, they have to work. When we was at the Century Garden working, they had to put work in. Yeah, so they always around me. I'm never saying that I would never not spend that time with them. But I know fatherhood matters. I know kind of what my purpose is. Yeah. And I think that through my voice, through the action, the work I'm doing, is I want to bring more of a conscious effort to let people know and to understand when you missing an element in a child's life, they go through a lot of problems. And it's important now more than ever that fathers step up and be there for their kid and be there socially and emotionally for them because and later in life, it still has a damaging effect on them. It has a long. It's an effect that lasts so long that it can damage people in marriage and other areas of their life. Because where was my dad there to guide me and move me in the right direction? And that's one thing that I'm a big advocate for.
And that's I think what you're doing is fantastic.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I am really trying to work hard to make it work, man.
Because I mean, it's somebody. The difference between you and I is that I lost my dad in 2006. So the beautiful thing is that you still have a relationship with your dad.
Yeah,
you're able to live life with him. He's able to see his grandchildren. You're able to go hang with him and work with him. Buddy, I would love to do that again with my dad.
Yeah,
I would. You know, the last time I saw him, I'll tell you this story. My brother. You know, him being quote unquote the golden child, and it's not something I'm pissed about or I hold it against him. It's just how I understand. I have empathy for how my parents probably looked at him versus me. I was the challenging kid, so he quote unquote did everything right.
Yeah,
but he still, even though the trajectory they put him on and they thought was the best thing for him, not holds it against him, but he basically always said, "Look, you know, if I went to college and majored in music because he's a musician, I would have gotten into law school and it probably would have been a free ride because I would have crushed it with a music program in college. But Dad, you told me to go for a bachelor's in business administration. You know, I used it kind of, sort of, but you kind of pushed me in this direction. I always wanted to be an on-the-road touring musician. You told me to have a backup plan. You they diffused the dream. No, do the practical thing, right? And he's always said that, man, if I just majored in music, I would have gotten to law school still, but I would have gotten the free ride because I would have had the grades to get all the, the scholarships and such. So I think he talked about that while my dad was alive. On my dad's last days, he actually was very apologetic. He's like, "I'm really sorry."
To you or
to my brother?
Your brother. Okay.
My brother. And he told me this story. I said, "What was he sorry about?" He says, "For the choices that he made me make about my life, not realizing that I could, with my tenacity and my drive and my ambition, have made some sort of a career in music." And he says, I should have allowed you that, and I'm sorry for making it. He was apologetic.
Yeah.
It's amazing, Well,
I think that one thing my father, he knew I was different.
Yeah.
My younger brother was really quiet, which he is to this day. IT was probably his niche.
Yeah. Engineer mindset.
Yeah. But for me, is that I have a gene inside of me from my mother that loves to serve and help people.
Yeah.
And so that's not with my younger brother. He does what if you ask him, he'll help you. But me, I have that gene that I want to always help people and inspire people to be a best version of themselves. So that's why I say me, you have a lot in common. Because like
really
I said,
do.
My youngest was that. He was that golden where we went to family reunions. Yeah. Hey, what's Brian doing? What's Brian doing? And it's not never what's Mark and Paul Jr. doing. It was always what's Brian doing. And one thing I can tell you is that I was never jealous of my younger brother.
Yeah.
I think God blessed me a whole lot because I was never jealous of my youngest brother's success. And my father told me this, and I still to this day don't believe him. He said, "You motivated your younger brother to get his college degree." Now, when he saw me go get my master's, he and my sister got her master's. He was like, "Oh, y'all ain't leaving me out."
Yeah.
And he went back and got his master's. So only I can say I got one up on my brothers. I received my master's degree before he did. And so, but I ain't gonna throw that in his face. But we were all driven in a different way. Yeah. So once I found out my purpose, it wasn't no stopping Mark. Once I knew I was going to school, could nothing stop Mark. When my younger was born, I was still going to school. Trevec was all online, so I'm on vacation at Disney World. At nighttime, I would be doing my homework because I knew where I wanted to go. Even though God didn't take me on the path where I wanted to go, I knew I wanted to go. But I think for us, since me and you are so much alike, is that we're doing what we enjoy doing.
Yeah.
My
we
world,
really are.
My world now, I still sometimes wakes up and have to pinch myself and be like, is this what I'm doing every day now?
Yeah.
Networking and meeting people on the golf course.
Yeah.
Who would have known I've been playing golf 2 years ago? I wasn't thinking about a golf club 2 years ago.
Right.
But now my life has just changed, and I'm learning how to enjoy this ride right now.
With the motivation that you have. I just had a thought in my mind that's completely went poof. But basically, moving towards what your purpose is. Are you a Simon Sinek guy? You know who he is?
No, I do not know that.
He's a speaker, author. He wrote a book called Start With Why.
Yeah.
And then, as that caught fire and took the world by storm, he realized, well, hey, it's easy to say start with why if you don't, but what happens if you don't know what your why is? Well,
yeah.
Then he wrote a book called Finding Your Why, Find Your Why. And that's a lot of what we're talking about here. It's the path becomes clear.
Yeah.
When you know your why. And it doesn't become like work.
Yeah.
Because there's a purpose behind it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you wake up in the morning and you're living out your purpose, waking up and going to where you're going to work seems enjoyable.
Yep. Absolutely.
Now, where I'm at in my life, it's still a dream to me. Mm-hmm. It's a dream to know that, hey, you have people working for you where you don't have to go to your after-school center. Mm. That's a dream. And now I'm able to take my kids to school.
Yeah.
Pick them up in the afternoon, go home. I don't have to work like I used to. So a friend of mine who I had lunch with yesterday, he said, you have to learn. He said, learn from your new or normal. Mm-hmm. You got to learn from that.
Yeah.
And enjoy the unknown right now. So that's what I'm kind of enjoying now. I still have that work ethic in me.
Yeah.
I'm never going to leave not putting my hands on stuff and being physical working. But my work ethic is totally different now, and I have to work. But it's because I find what I feel in my life right now that God has me on is because these are things I need to do to impact lives, impact kids who don't have dads, because they're going to continue to be kids brought into this world without a dad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't stop that. But what I can do is work as hard as I can, impact as many lives as I can before God takes me out of this earth. Mm-hmm. So when my life is over, I can say I did everything I do on this earth to impact the life. And that's what I'm trying to do now.
I'm going to take a beat for a second because I got to go to the bathroom.
All right. What do you think, man?
It's a cool setup, man.
Yeah.
First opportunity that I had a chance to do this. So.
For a podcast? This is your first one? Wow. Well, I think that anytime you get a chance to to live out the norm, that's you want to. I think everybody go through different things for different reasons, and I gotta get out of here about 1:15, get you back, and then I gotta pick my. I think my barbershop appointment is at 3 or 3:30. He already puts it on my calendar, but he emails me, and then I don't know if it's 3 or 3:30 for my boy's barbershop appointment. I gotta be sure I
Cut that hair yourself?
No.
That's the one thing I was gonna start doing.
No.
I was cutting his hair myself.
I mean, I used to during the pandemic, and then I don't feel like doing it. I'm lazy in that area, and I like them having the barbershop experience. So I just take them there. I take them every 2 weeks, about 45 minutes, and then he's done. So here you go. What time's their appointment? And so 3 o'clock. So I'm used to that, man. In the pandemic, I cut it. And, if I really wanted to perfect it, I could do it if I wanted to perfect it. But I enjoy it when they go and I could just relax. It costs a little bit more, but the guy who cuts it is always on time, always professional. So I just enjoy him cutting it. And that's what I do. I pay $60 and I have to, for 2 kids, that's high for me. So, because they just get a regular low grade 1, even all the way around. That's what they do. All right, Jim.
All right, so here we go.
Let's go.
All right, so with everything being said, we got to get to the inevitable.
What's your problem?
What is your problem?
Yeah.
What are you dealing with these days? What's, helping the nonprofit get more attention? We've got the podcast going.
My main issue is not major. I think is bringing more awareness to fatherhood. I think also
Fatherhood or fatherlessness?
You know I hate that word, Jim. You know I get stuck in that word. Just the
importance of that it matters.
The fatherless matters in that I am tired of seeing kids struggle in school.
Yeah.
And that usually tends from kids not having a dad at home. Mm-hmm. Kids can't read on grade level. And sometimes, and I know maybe you can make it to a clip that people always blame the schools.
Yeah.
And my thing is that when kids have homework at home, are you spending time with them doing their homework? And so being able to go to college, my wife has a ton of experience. We both should be able to help our kids with their homework. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of my major issues. And my other major issue is when, and I hope this ain't controversial. Maybe put it on TikTok and see if it goes viral.
If it catches fire.
Yeah, it's mainly is that I think young people need to really think before you lay down in bed with someone. Because when you produce that child, and that seed going to either grow to be good or bad.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I think sometimes we need to just be more of an awareness is, God gave us a mechanism to produce children, but I think we need to be more careful. Mm-hmm. That's just my honest opinion because these kids coming out now, man, kids are killing. They doing because kids ain't taught to kill. Yeah, you're not brought into this world to learn to be a killer and do other things. Is that when the family structure is messed up, that kid usually gets I'm saying the wrong word. They usually get the ramifications of it.
Yeah,
what I'm trying to say. So those are things that I really want to be sure that I can try to help. But those are my major issues that's going on in my head now is that when I see kids fail, when I see fathers walk out of kids' lives and don't want to be there for them, and when you ask them, where's your dad? And they shrug their shoulders like, I don't know where my dad is. That's my major issue. Mm-hmm. I just really want dads to step up. Mm-hmm. Step up. Even if you have a fallout with the mother, your job is to be sure your child make it because they go through so much. And so when I hear stories or traumatic experiences and stuff like that, it comes out of kids, I'm like, wow, what if your dad did his job?
Yeah.
Like I said, was I fortunate, Jim? Yes. Mm-hmm. I was fortunate that I didn't have to deal with nothing traumatic growing up. Yeah. If I'm going to say anything traumatic, it would be work.
Yeah.
Working in the garden, in the tobacco fields when it's 100 degrees, cutting wood. If that's traumatic, that's just what your opinion is, but that was work for me.
Yeah.
Now at 46, I see why Dad did everything.
Yeah.
And now, ever since I was 21, my relationship has been so better with my dad. Mm-hmm. Cause I was bad from teenage years to 21. I was bad.
Yeah.
Until Daddy threatened to send me to the Army. Mm-hmm. And when my mother saved me from going to the Army, I promised him I would never do anything to disappoint him again. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be sure I kept my promise. Mm-hmm. So I think just any of the major problems that's going on, I want to not always talk about a problem, but be the person who can say, I'm part of the solution. And so I mentor the best way I can. I can't always be there to hold your hand, but I'm also a phone call away if you need Mark.
Right.
And so that's what a lot of parents like about my program and what I can do is I'm accessible. You can reach out to me and I can be able to try to help you, help your child. Mm-hmm. Because I know it's tough being a single mom. I know it's tough. I don't know everything you go through, but I know it's tough because my wife was raised by a single mom. And it's very tough when you don't have your dad to be able to hold you, love you, and show you different ways. I know people right now who are struggling in marriage and everything because they like, man, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because my dad didn't show me what to do. But everything I learned in marriage came from Daddy.
We tell our kids all the time, like, you guys have no idea how lucky you have it. Your parents are still together, raising you guys. Yeah. Your parents still love each other. We don't despise each other. We still have fun together. We still do date. I'm like, you guys, and it's like, I almost want to hire somebody to come and be like, what he said, but I'm going to say it because now there's no bias, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you get the bias involved. Speaking of controversy, though, when you mentioned that before, here's a controversial thought. Okay. Not only are you battling, virtues of fatherlessness and everything, you've also got a systematic cultural shift that happened in the 80s, maybe even in the 70s, post Archie Bunker, maybe getting into Roseanne. My father could not stand that show, Roseanne. Hated it because it's the systematic emasculation of the American male is what happened, right? Made us dads, us guys, feel less valued. You know, look at every commercial. The guy is always the dumbass, right? It's that's the kind of stuff you got to fight too. Yeah, you know.
Well, I think that let me tell you why I think we've seen
the notion
like
of dad jokes, right? Even though we like dad jokes, I mean, you know.
My reason of that is because women had to endure so much without men helping them out,
right?
And they had to do a lot of pain. And so a lot of that stuff comes through pain. And so if men were doing their jobs, I don't think women like the Roseanne and stuff wouldn't be so overbearing.
Yeah.
Sometimes women have to be able to find a way to fight on their own. And I think that's why you see some of these issues that goes on like that. One thing I like about my home, my wife allows me to lead the family. And that's what God says in his word is that the man supposed to lead, the woman supposed to follow. But my wife still has a voice.
Yeah.
I don't come home and say, well, dad says it, that's the final. No, it's things where she says stuff and it's final with her. But she understands her role is that, yeah, I make the final call, but I got to live with that decision too. So I try to make sure I make the right call so I don't mess up stuff. So that's why I think that's, you know, the controversy around like Roseanne and some of these shows where the women are leading all the time. Yeah. Well, Married with Children was a little bit different because she was more, Al just had issues, but the wife was more trying to be supportive.
Yeah, she was.
And a lot of people got mad at her because they felt like she was weak.
Yeah.
She was a weak mom. So I think that's a little bit different. But there's other shows that things are coming out now that shows women more in prominent roles. And I have no issue with that as long as they understand in a marriage how it's supposed to work.
Right.
Because if you don't do it that way, you're going to have a whole bunch of problems.
I happen to come across...
They're going to be on your podcast. Yeah. What's the problem? Yeah.
I've actually come across a clip last night, timely enough. We had no idea we were doing a podcast today, right? We're going to do a couple episodes for you, but I said, hey, while we're here, let's do a podcast with Marcus on the What's Your Problem podcast. So I saw the clip last night from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah. And it was the one where his father shows up and, you know, the where he's living, I think it was his uncle.
Uncle Phil, yeah.
And, you know, just the performance that Will Smith goes through and how his father had to leave. I'm just thinking about it. I'm tearing up, right? Yeah. And, you know, just the heartbreak in his voice of like, you know, why does he not want me? Yeah. Why did, you know, it's like, you know, and the way he processes the emotion of like, fine, you go leave again. And, you know, you just don't even come back this time. Yeah. You know, don't even bother.
Well, I think that episode is how I got the cliche of my organization, The Cycle Ends With Me.
Right.
I watched that clip probably 50, 60 times.
Really?
Because I had to understand what Will was trying to say in that clip. And basically saying, I'm going to be better. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing that. So basically Will's saying, I'm not going to repeat the same cycle.
Yeah.
A lot of people see that clip. It makes people cry.
Well, it's so relatable because the rage in his voice.
Mainly because here's the thing. It will make work with why other people, like it made my wife cry.
Yeah.
It didn't make me cry. Because I never experienced that.
But neither have I. But it affected me differently, right?
But I understood how mad Will was.
Yeah,
he was mad because his father gave him a little hope.
Yeah,
and then he took the hope away from him. And then the anger kicks in, like I don't need you no more. And I'm mad. And Uncle Phil was kind of like being that comforter.
He's the father figure.
Yeah, he was trying to be a comforter, and he said, you know, it's okay to be mad.
Yeah.
It's okay to be mad, and Will just loses it. And you know, Will Smith said behind the scenes how hard that was to do that role. Because
I don't think he had that. Did he have that experience growing up, or did he?
He didn't have a good father growing up.
Right.
So in the movie, his book Will,
he was tapping into personal experience.
Yeah, it was kind of personal experience because his dad was an abuser.
Oh wow.
His dad abused his mom. So when I read the book Will, he talked about all of that.
Yeah. So
he had to live. Some of that had to come through that. But that scene is probably one of the greatest scenes of kids knowing I'm going out a father. And you can see the anger in his voice.
Oh, gosh.
He's mad because that's what happens to young men and women who grows up without a dad. They are mad because you was not there. So when I have to do the work I'm doing, it makes it harder. When I have to deal with the kids' emotions, they're mad. And I have to deal with all of that.
Yeah.
But I tell them up front, I don't care if you're mad. All I care is that, look, you got somebody here who wants to help you.
Yeah.
If you don't want my help, I will go away. Live your life. But let me tell you this. Don't call me from no jail cell because I don't do jail visits.
Right.
I tell you up front, I don't do those. Because I never went to jail, so why do I need to go see you in jail? Because I didn't teach you that's where you need to go.
Yeah.
I'm teaching you where you need to go, and it's not jail. So, but that scene there, Jim, is probably, like I said, one of the most powerful scenes that's out there that makes everybody cry when they see it.
Totally. You know, it's funny. You're talking about bringing more awareness to Stronger Than My Father. I think one of the things that maybe, I don't know if we've ever talked about it, but what I think you should start thinking about doing is writing a book. Right.
Yeah, somebody told me that.
Doing speaking, things like that, getting the whole trifecta going, right? And then, you know, you've got a lot of conversations in the podcast that can derive into a book. And another client of mine did the exact same thing, Brian Covey. But, you know, I said that's a really good direction to go for you. I believe you can do it. I can even visualize your opening segment of a speaking engagement of being, you know, the Will Smith scene, and then tied in with the Rocky Balboa. You know, life is gonna keep you down if you let it. You know, that whole.
That's
scene.
one of my. That's one of my favorite quotes.
Right. And then the inches speech from Any Given Sunday with Al Pacino. When you get old in life, they start taking things from you. Yeah.
Well, see, here's the thing. These quotes really help. Me a whole lot. And the Rocky quote was probably one of my best quotes. You know, life's gonna knock you down, but you still got to find
if you let it.
If you let it, but you got to find a way to get up, and that's how I've lived my life. So I don't know what the future holds. I'm looking at speaking engagement. I'm looking at a book, because if I dealt with traumatic experience, it'd be easy for me to write.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard for me to write now because, but I think just other people. I don't want to write about other people's experiences.
You could talk about the importance of fatherhood and all the case studies that back up your.
Now that's a good point that I may look into. Is mainly because I want people of all races to understand. And do I see a lot of whites with their kids? Yes.
Yeah.
A lot. In the African American community, you don't see that a lot.
Right.
There are more men just beginning to step up. And I'm not going to say all African Americans don't grow with a dad. There are a lot of. I got some real good friends who are real good dads. Some that grew up with their father, some who grew up without their father, but they are real good dads. Yeah. But you know, when you run an after school program and you see a lot of these moms come in, and you see probably 95% of the moms and about 5% dads coming in to pick up their kids. But then when you ask them the question, hey, did you grow up with where's your dad? You know, those are things where I see a whole lot. And it breaks my heart to see that this is the kind of world that we're in. Yeah. And that's the only thing I hope to do with my life, Jim, is to be able to say, hey, are you going to be there for your kid? And when it's time to go to parent-teacher conference and stuff like that, I'm there for my kid. Yeah. You know, a lot of time my wife go, but she knows I'll go if I need to go. And one of my highlights was when they did walk the kid to school day, and I was able to walk my younger, because I've never done that before. Right. So when it was time to walk my son to school that morning, I really enjoyed every bit of that. Yeah. I was like a kid in the candy store.
It's like you wonder if we're coddling them too much.
Yeah, well, I think that one thing my younger son said that really hit me hard as a dad is when I was running late picking him up from school. Yeah. And he was the last kid to come out. And he was crying his eyes out. Yeah. And I said, what's wrong, son? He said, Daddy, I thought you was going to leave me.
Oh, my God.
He said that. He said, Daddy, I thought you left. No, he said, Daddy, I thought you left me. And I made sure I wasn't late. I was late one more time, but When I picked him up, I said, son, I was late probably last week. I was running behind.
This giant sword
I was running behind.
Yeah.
And one thing he said, I said, son, I'm so sorry for being late. He says, Daddy, I forgive you.
Yeah.
My youngest has a real good vocabulary. Mm-hmm. He said, Daddy, I forgive you. And we got in the car and went and got some Starbucks. And so I think what happens is when he see these other kids run out to their cars and dad hugs them, your child wants the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the experience I want to give my kids. Yeah, to a certain age.
I did that with my 14-year-old on the first day of school. I dropped him off. I'm like, you want me to come in with you? He goes, no, this just, I'm like, but I want to come in. I'm like, give me a hug. And he's like, no, Dad, I'm good.
They want to be cool. Yeah. So I think with my oldest son now, he sees Dad's car. He want to be cool. Mm-hmm. Dad driving a Charger. He want his friends to see his dad in the Charger. So, I let my son have that little time, but he want to feel like he's cool.
Yeah.
Because they say, oh, your daddy have a nice car, those things. So, but I think overall, my whole mission, I think in my life, is to just serve the fatherless.
Well, it's not only that, dude. It's making sure that the kids that you're serving have a father figure in their life of some sort, and that you're teaching guys how to be dads.
Yeah.
And one thing I think you and I can both agree on is that a big part of being a dad is being able to apologize. Yeah. Because you're going to screw up.
Well,
you know how many times I've apologized to my kids for blowing up, for getting mad, all that stuff. My gosh.
Well, just like I told you, when I picked my son from school last week, I was late.
Yeah.
He was in the office with some more kids, and I flying in, and I was jumped out. I said, son, I'm so sorry. Mm-hmm. And he said, Daddy, don't worry about it. I forgive you. And that made my day.
Yeah.
Because I thought he was going to be crying, tears out his eyes.
Because I see the effects of that. And my son sees me apologize. He's quick to apologize to me when he screws up.
Yeah.
There's a residual effect to that, totally.
Well, like I said, the main thing is that when you become a dad, you have so much work to do.
Yeah.
And one thing my father told me, being a dad would never end.
Yeah.
He said, y'all grown. And he said, I still worry if y'all okay.
And you know what? He's going to have that tone in his voice that's going to put the fear of God in you, even at your age, right? He's going to give you the look sometimes, like, son of a bitch. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. He's more mild now.
Yeah.
But his sternness is still there.
Yeah.
He wants his grand boy to look like young men.
That lion is still within him.
Oh yeah. Easy. Mm-hmm. Like he wants, when he see my boys, he want to see they dress properly, their haircuts properly, and how they look.
Yeah,
is big to my dad. Yeah. And so if I do any of those things wrong, he's like, I need to holler at you. I need my grandboys to look like young men.
Yeah,
because that's why I trained you to make sure you was a young man. So I couldn't have the wild haircuts as a kid.
Right.
My dad was against earrings, tattoos. He would go off on us. Mm-hmm. And so now it's my kids, I came to my son and say, Dad, I want an earring. I'm like, for what?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to be tough on you because I can't raise you only the way I was raised. I'm not raising you no other kind of way. It's the way I was raised. And I can't change that.
My father, again, died in 2006, but my father-in-law, whether he knows it or not, kind of stepped into that role.
Yeah.
I don't think he really is aware of it. And it's funny, the past time we were there in June visiting my in-laws, and we had a family gathering.
Yeah.
And at some point, it was coming upon my father-in-law's birthday.
Yeah.
So one of the people there suggested, hey, let's go around and let's talk about a fun memory of Vic. And, what it meant to us and stuff like that. So we went around. It was one of these just an hour and a half of just, tears, laughter, just good, real uplifting moment for him in his life. And, I don't know. I think at some point he had to get up and, get a tissue and stuff like that. He's one of those, he's a strong guy. So he, when it came to my turn, I said, Vic, I'll never forget the day. And this is getting back to the tiger, the lion that you were experiencing in father figures. I was working for him. I had to put in a phone in his office and run the wire. And Courtney and I were already engaged at that point, so I was becoming part of the family. And I said, he's like, what can I pay you? And I said, you don't have to pay me. Come on, I'm not going to charge you for this. He goes, what can I pay you?
Yeah.
I said, Vic, he's like, don't make me pissed. I'm like, $100? He's like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I told that story, and he remembered. He's like, yeah, don't make me pissed. And I'm like, there's the look. There's the voice.
Well, I mean, my mom is kind of like that. My dad doesn't show a lot of facial expressions. I think he's more of very mild. We already know where he's going.
Yeah.
We know what he expects, and you better not go away from it, or you're gonna have issues. Yeah. So, I can't. I tell people I can't tell them no clearer of how society people should operate.
Yeah.
And me living the way I am, and I say I was privileged. I was privileged to find a wife that can put up with me.
Yeah.
Because I don't think every woman could put up with my life and my schedule and everything I operate.
Well, I think as men,
I just don't think it would. I don't think it would work because I'm always on the go. I was shooting a video at 7:00 last night.
Yeah.
I told her, hey, I gotta go shoot a promo video, and she's not the one to say, well, where you at? Calling. She don't do that.
Yeah.
She trusts me enough to know when I'm out, I'm doing business. And that's the thing that I think in marriage that has to work as well is trust, especially in the world that I'm in of nonprofit. My world work. People are like, what's your day off? I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Like I've done networking on a Sunday. Just always work. So I think just in a nutshell of our whole podcast, I just want people to understand when we say what's your problem is, I'm hating kids losing out in life. Yeah. I hate kids losing out because their dad is not there giving them that full support they need. They need to have a strong, solid father, that fatherhood has got to be solid. And so when I come home, because I got to take my kids to get a haircut today, is that as soon as I come home, they run into me saying, Dad's here.
Yeah.
And they're not coming home to a house that they're scared.
Yeah.
I'm a big guy. Mm-hmm. And I don't want my wife to come home knowing if I'm gonna hit her or not. Mm-hmm. I don't want them to come home and it's not a peaceful home. My wife comes home to a house that it's going to be peace, because you got to deal with a lot of crap at work.
Yeah.
Don't you want to come home to a peaceful home where you can have dinner ready to go and you can just kick back on the recliner and relax?
That's what it should be.
That's what it should be. And that's what I try to fight for in my home. Because that's the way I grew up, and I didn't grow up in a house with a bunch of chaos.
Right.
So that's what I want to teach my boys. Teach them, hey, challenge your anger in different areas, but you never put your hand on a woman, and always try to do your best as a man and take care of your family. And I think if you can do those steps, you're going to make your life a little bit easier. It's not going to be perfect, but it makes it a little more easier. Because like I said, I have friends who's doing the same concept, have great lives, friends that has nice houses, just great life. And it's because they listen to their dad and they listen to great people that were surrounded around them. So that's kind of who I am.
But I think also you can actually add this to that list when you're preaching to people is
preaching,
not preaching, but talking
people
to
say
people
that all the time.
Teaching people and being an inspiration and showing them what to do. Gratitude. Find the one thing. No matter what situation you're in. I told my boy this on the first day of school. We were driving to. He was coming up to the high school right over here. He had 3 years in the middle school. He did not enjoy it at all. He goes, I hate that place. I don't want to look at it again. And he said something again that was negative. And I said, Spencer, I want you to take one thing right now and find out. I want to hear one positive thing. It just has to be one.
Yeah.
I said about today, about right now. It could be just sitting here riding in the car with me. I don't care. He's like, my sister's going to meet me and she's going to show me around the high school. I said, beautiful, perfect. Yeah. I said, if you do that every day, you find the one good thing that you can find a joy in. That's like working a muscle. Then all of a sudden you're going to find other things. It will manifest itself. I would say that, every day be grateful for something. Hey, I'm able to get up again.
Yeah.
I can take a deep breath, right? Yeah. One more question and we'll wrap up. What's your favorite Father's Day movie? Do you have one in mind?
I don't know if it's a Father's Day movie. My favorite one, man, that was just a pre-question. I can answer off the top of my head.
Right.
That I love, Pursuit of Happiness, probably one of my best films.
That's a good one.
Mainly because I saw the struggles of Chris Gardner and how he protected his son.
Yeah.
But he didn't let nothing stop him from living his dream.
Yeah.
Even
another Will Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
once his
What a
wife,
great actor.
Yeah, once the wife left, he knew it was up to him. Mm-hmm. But one quote he said is just never let no one tell you can't do something.
You can't do something, yep.
And if you have a dream, you got to protect that dream. And people tell you can't do something because they can't do it.
Yeah.
So in my life, when people told me, hey, Mark, you can't start a nonprofit, it's not going to work. You crazy about doing an after school program.
Yeah.
When people tell me those things, I'm seeing still resonate in my head.
Yeah.
And it's driving me to say, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Right.
So I think that's my favorite Father's Day film. There's other ones I'll probably think of when I'm on the road driving, so I should have said that one. But right off the top of my head, Pursuit of Happiness is one of my favorite films that I can watch over and over again.
Yeah.
Because I never experienced the struggles, but because he stuck with his son.
Yeah.
Living in the mission.
The subway.
Yeah. He fought for his son when he was in that little bathroom crying. I actually cried on that part.
Yeah,
because
rock bottom.
That's rock bottom when you got to sleep on the bathroom floor. Mm-hmm. But he still was holding his son. Mm-hmm. He says, he could have left his son and said, gave him away, but he said, "I'm gonna fight for my son." Because if you read his book, he talked about how he was abused by I think it was his stepfather, putting a gun to his face and stuff like that. But he wanted to be sure he broke the cycle, and he was there for his son. So that's my favorite Father's Day film.
See, my Father's Day film is going to look ridiculous now.
Who's that?
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, yeah.
That's a Father's Day movie.
Now, my wife is a Marvel fan.
Yeah.
So if she ever come out here, she's going to lose her mind to all your Marvel stuff. They're going to do a podcast with her.
A lot of people don't realize that movie is a father-based movie because it deals with a tumultuous relationship between Gamora and Nebula and Thanos.
Yeah,
right?
I remember that.
Peter, Star-Lord finds out who his real father is with Ego, and then Yondu, the blue guy, who raised Peter, essentially,
Yeah.
He basically at the end says, he may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy.
Wow.
Dude, that line gets me every freaking time.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I think it's so much.
He may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy.
Yeah. Well, like I said,
he was saying, I'm the one who raised you, who poured into you, who cared for you.
Yeah.
And I'm giving my life for you right now. That was a scene where he sacrificed himself so Peter could live.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my wife is a Marvel fan, but I think that, there's so many movies out here that shows how fathers should operate and be there for your kid. I just think it's just, and I tell people this, and I know we're going to close, is that there are so many causes out here in the world to concern about.
Yeah.
A lot of causes. But
yours is a big one.
But when you ask people, how was your dad, either they're going to give you a smiley face or they're going to give you a mean face.
Yeah.
Or not a good face. Anytime you ask about fathers. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to be sure Father's Day wasn't just a day we talk about in June, but it's something that you honestly constantly keep pushing out. Why do these teachers say, man, Mark, we appreciate you showing up to the school? Because some of these kids don't even know what a male figure looks like.
Right.
They see female at school, female at home. Where's the male figure that's going to put that toughness in them?
Right. And
they say when you show up at the school, they already know you better not be playing. So,
right.
But I appreciate it, Jim. I appreciate you bringing me on your podcast, man. And part two of what we're doing again. So I really enjoyed this opportunity to talk more. Because when me doing my podcast, is me learning their story. But a lot of people
driving the ship. You got to be the bus driver. Yeah.
But I want people to continue to learn who Mark and Meneese is. What's the fruits and the growth that I come from, and why am I so passionate about fatherhood? Is that I just know that it matters, and I know that it has an effect on them kids.
It does.
And when I see the kids grin at the center and they say, "Oh, Mr. Marcus is here," those are things I look forward to and seeing. And then when I pick my kids up from school, my oldest son, I don't know where you get this fist bump from, but every day he want to give 2 or 3 fist bumps a day. And some of them get on my nerves, but I says I'm never gonna slap his hand. Hey, quit all that. Every time he said, "Dad, fist bump, I give them a fist bump. So thank you, Jim, for the opportunity to be on your podcast again.
Of course, man. And definitely check out Marcus's nonprofit, StrongerThanMyFather.org, breaking the cycle. And it really all starts with us. I mean, if you can pour into a child or inspire somebody else to be a better father, and talking about your own experiences and understanding, man, that you're going to, part of being a dad is understanding you're going to fail at it, man, and you're going to fall on your face. So check out StrongerThanMyFather.org. And of course, check out What'sYourProblemPodcast.com and follow along. Be a share bearer. Sharing is caring. Let your friends know about it. If this episode really struck you, share it out, man, and rate it. That would be wonderful. What'sYourProblemPodcast.com. Marcus, once again, always a pleasure.
Pleasure, Jim. Hope we can do it again soon.
Will do.